The Brown Park Podcast is brought to you by Grow Clinics. They're Australia's leading hair transplant clinics, and you can go to growclinics.com.au.
Welcome, and thanks for joining us in the Good Husbands Club. Now here's your hosts, Christo and Dion.
Hello,
G'day, mates.
and welcome to the Good Husbands Club Part 2.
We're getting better as we speak.
We're trying to, and that's why we've got Isaiah McKimmey, sexologist, on the show to talk about relationships and how we can be a better husband. And stay tuned for what we're going to talk about regarding December 11 and Christmas time.
It's an interesting time for couples. All right, question.
Yep.
Why do you think you're a bad husband?
What do you mean? Why do I think I'm a bad husband?
I don't know. I mean, this is your idea to get Isaiah back on the show so we can work on being better husbands.
Yeah. Look,
that type of thing.
I think, and this is the reason that I initially wanted to get her on the show, is because we often chat with our mates and there's been a lot of breakups.
Certainly has. It happens around this age. I don't know what it is.
And I thought there's got to be a solution because nobody wants to break up. Well, sorry.
The person breaking up wants to break up.
I take that back. People do want to break up, but I feel like a lot of it can be avoided.
I reckon you're right. You're right.
And that's why I've got her in. Now, for not wanting to talk about this.
But you will.
Because I'm uncomfortable.
Very good. Which is where all the gold is, by the way.
For a while, I was a bad husband.
How?
I was going through my own mental bullshit. And I feel like I took her for granted. Never cheated, never did anything like that, but emotionally just was unavailable.
Right. And as we say that, Isaiah has just come online, so let's bring her into the chat.
Hi guys, how are you?
Hello, welcome back.
Thanks.
So before we get started, so Isaiah, Christo and I were talking before you came on. Now, maybe you can help him with this. So he's got some serious regrets about the way he showed up for his wife a few years ago. Now, Christo, tell Isaiah the story. So she might be able to help you get over it and be better moving forward. Because I think it's important that you talk about it because it's obviously affecting you.
Okay. Put on the spot. Nicely done. Thank you.
There you go.
So
My pleasure.
A few years ago, we were going to have a fourth child. We were pregnant. After coming back from a magnificent trip to Paris and France, my wife came back pregnant, and it was mine. And
This time.
And we lost it at about 6 or 7 weeks. And coming back from Paris sort of fucked my brain. I had a week and a bit without kids. We'd been having an amazing time. I had 4 days by myself while she went off and did a retreat over there, traveling around the Parisian countryside. And I came back and my brain was broken. I don't know why. I just sort of spiraled. Anyway, she was pregnant. We found out a short while after. I was shocked. I wasn't ready for it. I didn't celebrate it probably the way that I should. And then we lost it. And then it kind of just created a divide at the time. Yeah, I was just a prick. Dropped her off to get the what was it called? A curette?
Curette, yeah.
Curette done. And went home and then came back and picked her up rather than hang around. I mean, you can't go into the procedure anyway, but rather than just sort of sit there and wait and run in as soon as I could, I just waited for her to call me. And it is something that I am still unable to get over. Yeah, I still feel like an asshole to this day, even though she said, I'm over it, you need to get over it. It's one of those things that I've spent the next, 2024, the next 5 years trying to fix.
So this is something that you're carrying, that you're holding on to. This is not something that's an issue between you, or she's saying, like, I need you to understand this.
She is past it. She's one of those ones that went, well, you got over it. You did the work. Like I've done extensive therapy. I've done all that kind of stuff. But it's still one of those things. I was just saying before that it'll be one of those things that I'll be taking my last breath and I'll go, oh, God, I was an asshole.
Do you know the emotion that you feel around that?
Do I know the emotion? No. But like it can't be half as bad as what she would feel losing the baby. And I didn't acknowledge it at the time.
So I don't know if you've heard the phrase you have to name it to tame it and feel it to heal it.
Okay.
So when we have emotion that isn't fully acknowledged and isn't fully felt, it'll stay with us. Part of how we can move on from that emotion and really kind of process it and start to let it go is to really get clear within ourselves what that emotion is, to really start naming it, and sometimes to also look at what the need is underneath that. So for you, when you think about how you were, how you behaved with your wife at that time, what does that feel like in your body? What do you notice?
It actually makes me I can still tear up about it. Like I feel myself welling up while I speak about it, and I'm not going to do that. But
you can.
I can
Knock
feel
yourself
that it's
out.
sitting there. Yeah, I know, but I can feel that it's sitting there, and I feel like an ass that I did that a while back.
Yeah. And you were, but that's not
100%.
an emotion.
Yeah.
Yeah. So my guess would be I'm always kind of hesitant to throw out a guess too soon, because it's really easy to kind of be like, no, that's not it. That's not what I'm feeling. But my guess would be something along the lines of sad that you weren't there for her, disappointed in yourself, and probably
Oh,
ashamed
100%.
about your behavior.
You've hit the nail on the head. Ashamed is a big one.
Shame is a big one, and shame keeps us really, really stuck. It stops us connecting, and it can stop us moving forward as well. And it makes sense that you feel all of those things, and that they don't feel good, and that you're looking for, what can I do to get over this? What can I do to start moving through these feelings and moving on from this? But again, we have to name it to tame it and feel it to heal it. So for you, being able to sit with those emotions, as horrible and awful and uncomfortable as they are, and my guess would be that this is part of what your wife does a little bit more easily, and a little bit more, like a little bit better, like part of why she's able to have kind of processed it and moved forward, not because she's pushing it aside and being like, no, it's done, it happened, like don't want to talk about it, which is often like a really kind of male way of moving through things, because men particularly don't get taught to feel their emotions, to name them, to communicate about them. And so that's why a lot of emotion builds up, and it can come out in these really unhelpful ways sometimes. It can come out as rage, aggression, also part of why we have just horrifically high rates of male suicide as well. So I don't know. I want to check out, like, how does that land for you? How does that feel for you?
100%. You're right. It's it's shame. Ashamed is the big one, that I did that to somebody that, I love, and she's my wife and mother of my children, and she's excellent. But yeah, it's a massive guilt and a massive shame. And I've gone to extensive therapy to try to, build that bridge and work out how to process it and what I can do to sort of make it up to her. And I think I have.
Like I said, you're a pretty good husband. I think you always have been. But you dropped the ball at that one point in time when you were struggling mentally. Like, it could happen to anybody.
Yeah. Now, you were speaking about emotional intelligence there. And you've been speaking about this a little bit in the media lately. Do you think men are becoming more emotionally intelligent, or are we still dumb as fuck?
I think you are. And my Instagram audience agrees with me on this, because I put a question out to my audience. Do we think that men are becoming more emotionally mature, intelligent, available? And overwhelmingly the answer was yes. not as quickly as some women would like
Takes us a while
was the
sometimes.
kind of follow-up to that. Well, yeah, you I know that a lot of a lot of women can voice a lot of frustration around that, especially in heterosexual relationships. And don't get me wrong, there are ways you guys do need to step up. But I get to hear men talk about their emotions pretty vulnerably and pretty extensively. And I'm just so aware that it's not something that you were very often taught, supported in growing up. It's often something, we were talking a minute ago, Christo, about how do you feel when you reflect on this issue, and it's hard for you to actually name those emotions. So often men they don't even get taught the language around this. So it is like learning an entirely new language. But I do think men are changing. I think times are changing. I think it's much more acceptable for men to go to therapy now. And I think women are also demanding this of men. At least that's what I see in the relationships that I work with. And I think women are demanding in heterosexual relationships that men are more emotionally intelligent and can communicate on a different level than they have in the past. So I'm optimistic.
I think also, like, I've got an 8-year-old boy and we're teaching him his emotions, and he is very expressive with his emotions now. And that's like the next generation is going to have, we might overcorrect the next generation, but the one after that might get it right.
I don't think we can overcorrect. Like, I think when we build solid, stable, resilient, emotionally intelligent human beings, I don't think it's an overcorrection.
Okay.
I say it sounds like you guys are on the right track.
Well, because I think even to sort of unpack that a bit with male suicide and all that type of thing, we've never really been, well, when we're growing up, it was shameful to talk about your feelings and your real vulnerable ones. And I think as you get older, you realize that you need to talk to people and open up. Otherwise, it's going to go sideways pretty quick. So I think with our generation, we learnt late that you can talk about your feelings, but I would hope now that our generation is teaching the younger ones to be open, be honest with how you're feeling, because if you're not being open and honest, it's going to pop up in a really inconvenient way.
If you're in a relationship with a man who doesn't discuss his emotions, right? Or if you're a guy that's listening to this and you know that you bottle stuff up, how do you not be that person? Or what's the best way to try and unbottle it, I guess?
Open the dialogue.
Yeah.
How do you open the dialogue with your partner when you're super uncomfortable?
Oh, such a good question, because it's really tricky. And I know a lot of men, when they're doing this for the first times, they don't always get the reactions they want. They might not always do it well, like they're learning something new and their partner can jump on that or have a reaction themselves, and that just shuts them down even further, or they open up to a friend and don't get great feedback. This is a really, really tricky one. And I always want to say to men, find the safe spaces. I think this is where counseling and therapy is really, really good. There's some really great free phone lines as well. Like, there's Lifeline and Beyond Blue, but there's also Men's Line really specifically there to support men. So even starting with something like that feels safe and feels good. Often men don't have a language around this. So listening to podcasts, surrounding yourself with other men who do speak openly about this can help you find that language and model this for you. And just remember that it is like learning a new language. So there are going to be some slip ups. There's going to be some, some little things that don't quite work as you planned, but persist with it, because overall there are so many benefits to your life, but also, and really importantly, to your relationships when you learn to do this well.
Because I think you might be let's just take that a bit further, because you said that the male may not get the reaction that they're after when they do it for the first time, because maybe the first time the husband opens up is about something negative he's been feeling about the relationship, and then the receiver or the wife may take it personally and may not respond in a way that is conducive to him opening up as well. So that's a bit of an issue, I would assume.
Yeah, especially so a lot of men, in conflict or difficult conversations will often go quieter. Women can tend to escalate a little bit more. So they'll use more words. If they feel upset, they'll often kind of heighten as well. And that can be really confronting when you're a man and for the first time you are saying, I'm kind of upset about this, or I'm a bit angry about this. And you get this heightened reaction for a whole variety of reasons. I see it over and over again where men just withdraw. It's like a confirmation of what they're most afraid will happen. And so as hard as it is kind of even letting your partner know that, hey, this is hard, or starting off by sharing it in messages can be another really useful way to do it.
You mean text messages? Is that what you mean?
Text messages, yeah. It's a lot of men who I know are trying to start communicating with their partners feel like they can't always do it face to face, and they kind of lose their words, or it feels
because sometimes you can't find the words. Yeah, that's fair.
Exactly. Yeah. Putting it in a text message, going away thinking about it, putting it in a text message, writing it down can be a way to start to do that.
That is very true, because so when I first started dating Sarah 120 years ago, I would just bottle it up and not speak and go silent. And very early on in the piece, Sarah was like, nah, not a fucking chance. You don't do this. We're not going silent. If you've got a problem, we're going to talk about it.
Because that's what your parents did, right?
Yeah. Oh my God. My parents were massive bottlers. They did nothing. They'd go for a couple of weeks without speaking to each other. That's been dealt with in therapy. But they also, the other thing that Sarah has said, or when we've been in those kind of moments, is I've said to her, I don't process my thoughts as quickly as you do. So sometimes when you say things, I'm going to need a second to process it. Otherwise, you're going to be highly offended by what I'm going to retort with straight away, because that is not what I mean, but that is me being defensive immediately. Mm-hmm. Sometimes if you say something and I don't answer you immediately, I'll acknowledge it, but I'll also go, give me a second, because I don't want to say what is right at the tip of my tongue, whereas I need to process it first and then respond. Otherwise, I'd get a divorce.
You need to respond, not react.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
And it's worked. I've said to her, I'm not as quick as you with that kind of thing. So sometimes I'm going to need a moment just to process what you've said, and it's worked.
And I love that response, because so many men in that moment, I don't know what to say, so I'm not saying anything. And their partner's like, why the fuck aren't you speaking? Do you not care about this? Do you not want to be in conversation with me? Or they'll just step in and keep talking to fill the silence, when really just being able to say, hey, I need a minute with this, that's saying something. Hey, there's a lot going on in here. Let me just find the right words for you. Let me take a deep breath. Anything that you can kind of say that lets your partner know, hey, I'm here and I am actually thinking about this and I actually care. I just need some time, is going to stop them going into that kind of heightened, why isn't he talking? Why doesn't he care? Right.
Does this kind of thing happen in same-sex couples? Do you deal with same-sex couples as well?
No, Christo, that's not going to help you, all right? Changing your sexuality isn't going to help or solve your problem.
I was hoping.
Desire as you were.
Got a lot of women who've asked me that same thing. No. So what we tend to find is that in conflict or around communication, we have some people who are withdrawers, those people who go quiet, need a little bit more time, find it it takes a little bit longer for them to get in touch with their emotions and what they're feeling. And we have also what we call pursuers, those people who heighten, who want to talk about it, who need to solve it immediately and get really anxious when it isn't solved. Men tend to be withdrawers. more than women. Women tend to be those pursuers more than men. That being said, it can be switched. And in same-sex relationships, we often still end up with a pursuer and a withdrawer. That's the most common combination, because if you have two people who talk a lot and heighten, you get a high conflict relationship. When you've got two people who go really quiet, like often, men or the withdrawing partner will kind of say, I don't know why my partner can't just be more like me. It's like, well, you wouldn't have a relationship if you had two people who just didn't want to talk things through and went really quiet all the time. Those relationships tend to like burn out in a different way. So often this pursuer-withdrawer combination is present, whether it's a heterosexual relationship or a same-sex relationship. It's just these same dynamics.
Because Sarah's often said that. She said, if I was married to somebody exactly the same as me, we'd kill each other. It's not fun.
Good to watch. Good to watch. It'd be a reality TV show. I reckon it'd be good.
Not if you're their couples therapist.
This is the Good Husbands Club with Christo and Dion.
All right, stop, collaborate and listen. We're going to talk about Grow Clinics for a second and not my awesome rapping skills. Are you ready to regain the confidence in your hair? At Grow Clinics, they specialise in natural hair restoration solutions tailored just for you. So whether you're dealing with thinning hair, a receding hairline or alopecia, their experienced team is here to help you achieve a fuller, thicker head of hair. Now, why choose Grow Clinics and not take off to one of those half-assed places in Turkey, I hear you ask? Because Grow Clinics have the proven results. The treatments are backed by years of experience and they have countless success stories from satisfied clients. And it's also about their personalised approach. They understand that each person's journey is a unique one. That's why they offer a personalised consultation and a treatment plan designed specifically just for you. Now hit up their experienced team at growclinics.com.au. That's growclinics.com.au for a free consultation and tell them Brown Park sent you.
This is the Good Husbands Club.
Brown Park.
We were chatting before we jumped on the podcast about December 11.
Yes, what is December 11? This sounds like not a great day of the year for a lot of people.
This is the day of the year that we see the most number of breakups of any day in the year. So December, we see a high number of breakups throughout the month, particularly December 11, and just a huge amount of stress on relationships. So December is one of my busiest months as a couples therapist. I often have people trying to start seeing me the week before Christmas, trying to book in in that crazy busy time of year. I think it puts a lot of pressure on relationships. People are kind of coming to the end of the year with financial stress, with extended family stress, and they're also reflecting on, my God, we're at the end of the year and we're still here, and what do I want to take into the next year?
Wow.
What a time to do it in December. So if you're single and you want to get a rebound, then head out to the pub on December 12th.
No, you wait until the first weekend in January. That's the busiest time for dating apps. You need to give people a time just to process, Dion, recover. Hit them in the new year. That's when everyone jumps. Everyone goes home to their family and they're like, oh my God, you're single. And then they get on the dating apps.
So how did you work out that it was December 11?
This was data collected actually through social media. You know how people like change their status and put things up. That's how they figured this out.
I guess it gets to the end of the year and you go, oh, can I do this again for another year? Fuck it. I'm out. See you later.
And I guess December 11th, just before, it's not quite Christmas, so you could probably get away with, if you're going to cut the cord, you want to do it before Christmas hits. So I guess it kind of makes
before you have to buy a present.
That's right. You don't want to do it before Christmas, before you have to meet their family, and then it's New Year. You don't want to ruin their New Year, and and then you're coming up to Valentine's Day. So it's like everyone tries to get in there before that cutoff.
What about on Christmas?
Oh, so yeah, look, it happens. It happens. I did see a couple once who sadly and unfortunately decided on Christmas Eve that they were done. That was it. That's a super tricky family Christmas for them. Just that pressure builds up. I mean, a lot of people will kind of keep it together for the sake of the family, or they'll just kind of go through the motions. But yeah, some people, I have seen it. I've seen it done Christmas Eve.
how would you if you had kids? How would you do it the next day? I mean, actually, having said
What are you looking for advice on how to do it?
no, not at all.
Mate.
No, but I'm trying to picture what you would do in that situation and how you would bluster through the next day, particularly if you had kids. It's like, and a happy new year.
Divorced.
I know. But, you know, I think a lot of couples who get to this point, they are so used to putting on that happy face and pretending for the sake of the kids, for the sake of everyone around them anyway. They're, you know, having those conversations in the background about this isn't working. What are we going to do? And, you know, and are just doing their best to kind of get on with life. So it's a bit more of the same for them as they then start to figure out what are our next steps going to be? How are we going to do this? Like, what are the logistics of breaking up, telling the kids? That is a whole other huge conversation to have.
So then, okay, if December 11 is the day of the most breakups, generalized question, how do we snap it before it gets to that point?
So ideally, you did this work months ago, and I might have spoken to you guys about this last time.
Yeah,
but
last time, yeah.
The 7 years, years from when couples start experiencing challenges until when they reach out for help, because, you know, they think it's going to get better. They don't want to spend the money on therapy. They don't think it's really that bad, while their relationship is just slowly kind of growing apart, and the trust and the connection and the intimacy is eroding. So ideally, we want to kind of have done this work, you know, months ago and started to take the small steps to start reconnecting. So spending time together each day, things like sharing appreciation, having fun together, reducing conflict in the conversation, and especially around Christmas, sharing that mental and emotional load. And I know we did talk about this a lot in the last conversation we have. That becomes a real issue around Christmas presents, juggling families, that external stress of managing all that becomes really huge. So we want to make sure that as early as we can, we're really addressing all of those things that we know contribute to a happy and healthy relationship.
Well, if you look at your relationship at Christmas, aside from Santa, the partner, the wife, tends to do most of the gift buying for family. They tend to make the organisation of what's going to happen on the day. If there are presents, who do they have to buy for? What do they have to buy? Will they like it? Won't they like it? You know, you don't want to give a present that somebody would turn around and go, yeah, I like it, but not really my bag. Sorry.
Yeah.
And like Dion, when was the last time you thought about a Christmas present apart from for Casey?
Only when she asked me, what should we get your mum and dad? I'm like, I don't know, you come up with something. I mean, it's true. It is true, because I'm hopeless. I mean, look, my wife's a great present giver. Like she's a lot more thoughtful than I am. But it is true. There is definitely that mental load that definitely adds a level of pressure to a relationship at that time of year. There's no doubt about it. And then you said connection and being together and that type of thing. And it leads into another thing that you've been talking about recently, and that's relationships when you feel like your ship's passing in the night. Now, we all lead busy lives these days, especially, well, at the moment, Christo and his wife are leading an extraordinary busy life.
Yeah.
How do you maintain connection when you do have such a busy life and conflicting calendars?
Yeah, it's tricky because your wives are not even with you. They're down in Sydney at the moment, aren't they?
Yeah, our wives are actually together at the moment.
Yeah. I mean, that's hard. It's especially hard when they're away, but even when couples are, you know, sleeping in the same house, but they've got different schedules, or they come home, they're juggling everything. And then there's all of those kind of logistics to talk about. Then you're exhausted, and then you just kind of get into bed, and it's like there's been no real connection. So it's the small things often make a really big difference. So we know that couples who are happy and healthy and really successful in relationships, they'll spend what we call the magic 7.5 hours per week together. And that's small things like just taking time to say goodbye properly in the morning, find out like, hey, what are you up to today? Not like, can you get this on your way home, or can you do that? But like, what are you doing? And you know, it's taking just a a couple of minutes to stop what you're doing and actually say hello and be really present when you both get home at night can make a difference. I always encourage couples to also have a daily check-in, which is literally, you know, asking each other, how was your day, and sharing what's on your mind. 20 to 30 minutes to actually kind of debrief. And again, not about logistics, but about what might be going on for each other. I think it can be really useful in there to also share something that you appreciate about each other. I have a game that I share that helps couples do that, but even just being mindful of that as well, and having some kind of physical touch. If it's holding hands, a hug, a 6-second kiss is another really helpful little tool.
Now we're talking.
Yeah.
All right.
There's a good one. Lots of get the oxytocin going, feel really bonded and connected to each other. So these small things, just starting to build these small things in, can really make an enormous difference to how you end up feeling about each other, and, you know, to then feeling like you're a team kind of taking on life together again.
Yeah, we definitely have that. Like we are definitely a team, but yeah, it's at the moment it's a lot. And I mean, Dion, you're almost like a FIFO husband sometimes.
My work schedule, I mean, I travel a fair bit for work, so yeah, I'm in and out every other week, but we do have a fair bit of connection time. We probably could do more, but you touched on...
You have one child. Correct. I have 3.
Which is different, because like when you put your kids to bed, Christo, like you might have to lie with one of them for, 20, 30 minutes, and if that's me, I'm falling asleep. Like I'm not getting up to connect or
and that's exactly what happens. So like our 8-year-old likes us to sort of sit with him because he's just got his own room now. And so you sit there for a while, and most nights I'm asleep. And then about midnight, I'll wake up on the floor, stiff as a board from laying on the floor. And then, Sarah's already asleep. It's time to go to bed. And then we have a 13-year-old who is using my wife as her comforter at the moment and can't sleep without Sarah laying next to her. So it's, we're just in the thick of it.
It's tricky, and there are going to be periods like that, especially when you have young children, where you just don't get to have the amount of time that you want. For some couples, it's just being mindful of that, and can we just have a conversation before we put on Netflix? Or some people will get up just that little bit earlier in the morning, even just to have that 10 minutes, or try to find a way to go to bed at the same time. I know that isn't always possible. And then weekends, doing what you can to carve out a bit of date time, even if that is doing something at home, or, giving a movie to the kids so you guys can just go and have actually like an adult conversation without being interrupted for a little while.
This is the Good Husbands Club with Christo and Dion.
I want to say a big thanks to Grow Clinics for their continued support of the Brown Park podcast. And are you noticing a receding hairline or a widening part? Hair loss is a common concern for many Australians, but there is hope. Grow Clinics, the leading hair growth experts in Australia and New Zealand, with clinics in Melbourne, Sydney, Brisbane, the Gold Coast, Perth and Auckland, can help you get your confidence back. Grow understands that hair loss is a sensitive issue, and that's why they offer personalised treatments designed to achieve the best possible results for each individual, whether you're experiencing male or female pattern hair loss. One of their most popular options is a minimally invasive hair transplant technique. Now, it's performed by highly skilled professionals. This virtually painless procedure leaves no noticeable scarring, and plus, with Grow's online consultation, starting your journey towards a fuller head of hair is convenient and accessible. Do not let hair loss hold you back any longer. Regain your confidence with Grow Clinics. Visit their website at growclinics.com.au or call them today to book a free consultation. That's growclinics.com.au, and defy genetics with Grow.
This is the Good Husbands Club with Christo and Dion.
Brown Park.
Now, you did mention there briefly that without giving away your trade secrets, you mentioned that you have a little game that you have to help people connect.
I have so many games. I love games.
Give us one of the games that could help us.
All right, so a game for connection?
Yep, connection game.
All right, so I really like the appreciation game. It's really simply, you guys sit opposite each other, you're facing each other. You'll say to your partner, something I appreciate about you is, you share one thing you appreciate about them, and they just say thank you. So they don't start an argument, they don't agree or disagree or like deflect the compliment. They just say thank you. And then, and here's where it gets a bit more vulnerable, you have to share something that you appreciate about yourself as well. Yeah, so something I appreciate about myself is, I should be getting you guys to do this, and then you switch.
Okay.
So then your partner will have a turn, and it's a way of you're sharing appreciation for each other. And so often when couples are disconnected, they're forgetting to see the good stuff and say the good stuff. It all becomes either logistics or something negative. So actually hearing what a partner appreciates can feel really good. And that sharing something you appreciate about yourself is also a way of letting your partner into your world. Like, this is how I see myself, and this is what I value in my world. So you're opening up and letting a partner in.
That'd be awkward to start, wouldn't it? I'm gonna hit Casey up for that. We're gonna do it.
Try. Do you guys want? I mean, you guys can do it. You can tell. You can tell Christo something you appreciate about him, Dion.
Look, I appreciate his openness and his vulnerability that he shares.
Love it, Christo. Let Dion know. Thank you.
Thank you, Dion.
Thank you,
Dion. What do you appreciate about yourself?
Ooh. Jesus, tough. I think I'm loyal. I appreciate that I am loyal and I'm there for people.
Thank you.
That was actually going to be what I was going to say.
I love it. That's what you appreciate
Find
about
something
Dion.
else Can't be the same thing, mate.
I appreciate, Dion, about your willingness to do anything at any time, anywhere.
Well, this is true, but I'm always up for a good time. Okay,
exactly, and that is what I appreciate, because it doesn't matter what crazy shit I come up with. You're like, yeah, let's go, let's do it.
Mm-hmm. Okay, now what's something you appreciate about yourself?
You didn't say thank you, by the way.
Thank you. see, I mean, that is the kind of way that I do deflect. 100%. I mean, I totally deflected because I wasn't comfortable with anything you said. So
no,
I tried to make a joke of it. So there you go. But thank you.
What do I appreciate about myself? I would say, I guess, my ability to listen. Yeah, maybe.
I think so. Tell me about that.
I don't know. I listen to people's problems a lot, and I'm, but like try and help them out with it. I guess, I don't know. Fuck, now I can't think of anything.
That's true, because you
sounds a good
tend
one.
to go into the problem solver when somebody does tell you their problems. You straight away go, how can you personally fix it? You always try to step in. So that's that's
true. Like, I need a lift to the airport. Okay,
gone. He's in the car waiting for you. Yes.
Yeah, basically. Okay. Yes.
All right.
Thank you, Krista.
Thanks, Christo.
And Isaiah, what do you appreciate about yourself?
Isaiah,
all right. Thank you. All right. What do I appreciate about myself? I appreciate the passion and conviction I have around what I do, and so what I bring to the world, like my work, and how committed I am to bringing what I believe in.
And what do you appreciate about Christo?
No, she doesn't know us that well.
I got to do both of you. Okay. I feel like I would be stealing yours, Dion. Christo, I appreciate your self-reflection. Like, that you are still reflecting on how you can be a better partner and how you can move through what you've done and what you've been through.
Thank you.
That's something I appreciate about you.
Oh, I was going to say thank you. That's good.
Dion, what I appreciate about you is your gentle support. So I see it in how you are with Christo. Even though you're kind of teasing about emotions, there's this support and acceptance that's there around it. Like, I can see you wanting him to get it and to get what's going to help him grow, but doing it in like this gentle and also fun way.
Thank you.
That was so uncomfortable for you. I could see it on your face.
It It was. But look, again, but a lot of that goes down back to, to unpack that. I mean, look, I have had a lot of negative self-talk over the years, especially from teenage years through my wildness as a teenager. So there is a lot of negative talk there, and it is hard for me to hear people compliment me for anything for that matter.
Yeah. Well, Simon Kimmy, I think we've talked through a lot today. Happy December for you.
Ka-ching!
Are you like Woolies and Coles? You put up your prices in December?
No, I mean, no.
No, don't answer that. Don't answer that. Many happy returns. Thank you very much for being part of the Good Husbands Club once again, and I hope we've helped some husbands today.
I hope so too. Thank you guys. And I know so I don't know when this is going to air, but I do have like a new year, because we're talking about like December and the new year. I have a new year like handout that I share every year that's super popular. So I'll share that with you guys so you can, share it out with your audience. See if you can help them.
And we'll put all the links in the show notes of this podcast. And obviously, if you follow our socials, you'll see quite a bit of Visaya up there anyway with some of the grabs that we put up from the show. Thank you so much once again.
Thanks for the conversation today, guys. I love where you were willing to go with this.
It was deep. It was deeper than I was willing to go. But hey, we got there. It's good.
I have to warn my wife about this episode.
I think a little bit.
Goodbye, and thanks for joining us. Be sure to tune in for another episode of the Good Husbands Club, coming soon to the Brown Park Podcast.
Why are you happy?
It's cool. I don't want to be sad.